Have you seen the viral footage of the violent attack on police officers at Manchester Airport? It's intense, chaotic, and it's been all over the news and social media recently, sparking a lot of debate. As a martial arts coach with over 20 years of experience and an Amazon best-selling author in self-defense and combat mindset, I wanted to take a closer look and share some insights from a martial perspective. So let's get into it. Hey everyone, I'm Sifu Phil, martial artist, author and creator of Black Belt Fit. Today we're breaking down this dramatic incident dominating the headlines, analysing what actually happened from a martial arts and self-defense angle, and looking at what could have been done differently. We'll explore awareness, tactics, and what we can all learn from it. First, let's take a look at the clip together. The link is below if you want to watch it too. I've got my ancient laptop out again, so let's see. Okay, so let's take a look. Now it's a short clip, no sound on it. We see these two guys. Most of this is blurred out for privacy reasons, I think. Police are closing in. 3 of them. Yep. Okay. Oh. Yeah. Oh, God. Nasty. Punches. Taser. It's chaos. Looks like they've wrapped it up. Yep, one down, other one's under control. And then more police arrive. Okay, that's it. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Let's break it down. So here's what we know from the background story. The 2 brothers in the video were being questioned by police about an earlier altercation, reportedly a headbutt at a Starbucks inside the airport. Tensions were already high and they showed clear signs of aggression before the police even approached. When stopped, it escalated fast. Words turned to punches in seconds. The footage shows them resisting arrest, swinging wildly, and physically attacking the officers. Chaos erupted quickly, punches, family members screaming, belongings scattered, and police scrambling to regain control. Firstly, let's talk about the approach. The first key lesson here, as it so often is that of situational awareness, something every martial artist should prioritise. Notice how fast the officers closed within striking range. That meant that when it kicked off, all 3 officers, 1 man and 2 women, were immediately vulnerable. Often it's police procedure to close distance quickly and try to overwhelm, but here it kind of backfired. Also, a sudden approach from behind or the side often triggers an instinctive defensive reaction in people. Knowing that these 2 were big, potentially violent men, a more cautious approach with at least 1 taser drawn might have been safer. Let's talk tactical breakdown. As the fight actually erupted, we saw panic clashing with training. 1 female officer clings to the blue hooded brother's arm, while the bigger brother in black grapples with the male officer. Suddenly, punches are flying. The guy in blue lands a hard cross punch that immediately drops the red-haired female officer to the ground. She was significantly smaller and physically outmatched here. People are tripping, screaming, luggage is flying everywhere, showing real violence is messy and unpredictable and fast. Meanwhile, notice the blonde officer, although physically smaller and outmatched initially, reapproaches with her hands up in a guard when blue hoodie guy tries to swing at her with a second attack. She actually manages to avoid the worst of it thanks to that guard and some head movement. Proof that keeping your hands up really does work, even if it's a simple guard under pressure. Finally, the blonde officer creates distance, draws her taser and takes down the man in blue. By then his brother in black had surrendered and the male officer regroups to pin blue guy down before more officers arrive shortly after. Now, a quick thing I want to mention here is size dynamics. That red-headed officer, as we saw, took a hard punch to the face, which dropped her instantly. And although she got back up to help at the end, later footage showed her bleeding and sobbing nearby. This raises a tough question. Female officers do an incredibly important job, but should a lightweight 5'6" woman be on the front line dealing with thugs twice her size like this? In martial arts, we pair sparring partners by size and ability for safety. Real violence has no such rules. It's a debate for another time, but certainly something worth considering in self-defense in the real world against vastly different sized opponents. Now for the controversial part. As the male officer scrambles up, he delivers a kick and a stomp to the blue hoodie suspect while he's turning towards him. Was this excessive? Well, technically yes, the main threat was controlled by then. But after fighting for your life in a violent attack, careful calculation tends to disappear. You react purely on instinct. This is why training your default reaction is so important. Do you want that panic mode to be default, or do you want controlled skill to be default? Many people online edited and released only the footage of the kick and the stomp to make it look unprovoked initially, but in reality the two brothers instigated violence not once but twice that day. In short, it's a very charged topic and a series of events. Let's briefly talk about legal and ethical considerations for a second. So one rule the police have to follow is that they must protect themselves and the public, but their response must remain proportional to the threat. In this incident, their initial approach was aggressive, but not really illegal. It was probably intended to overwhelm and control quickly. Unfortunately, it failed. Meanwhile, we know now that the brothers are pleading not guilty in court, claiming self-defense, which honestly seems laughable given that they struck first and are alleged to have headbutted someone earlier that day, but we'll see what happens. For martial artists, however, here is a quick takeaway. Every technique has consequences. Excessive force can land you in prison, even if your intent was self-defense. Responsible use of skill is what separates a martial artist from a street thug. However, survival is paramount. Do what you need to do to stay alive. So what can we learn as combat students looking at this from a martial arts point of view? Well, number one, as always, awareness and avoidance. Again, recognizing danger early and avoiding confrontation whenever possible is so important. If the officers had slowed down and assessed these men's threat level better, they might have approached differently and prevented it kicking off altogether. Or maybe not. After all, some people are just inclined to violence. However, the officers might have been able to position themselves to handle that with a more thoughtful approach. Number two, range can be your friend. The red-headed officer found out the hard way that engaging someone much bigger than you at close range can end badly. By hanging on to the attacker, she gave him an easy target through something called proprioception. In other words, we always know where our body parts are, even without looking at them. By hanging onto the brother's arm, she gave him a straight target to punch at without having to think much. If she'd stepped back and drawn her taser, or created a bit of distance with her arms or legs, or managed a rudimentary guard like the blonde officer, she might have avoided injury. Third point then, even if range fails, a basic guard can work. The blonde officer shows us that simple martial habits can pay off. As the attacker lunged again, she kept her hands up and used subtle head movement to avoid the punch. Was it intentional or instinct? Does it matter? No fancy moves, just keeping a barrier between her and the threat and adjusting her position. This reinforces what we teach all the time, that a basic guard and a bit of movement are better than nothing. Sometimes that's all you need to stay in the fight and avoid a knockout. Number four, real-world training is king. Controlled sparring is great, but violence like this is sudden, brutal, and chaotic. Training for unpredictability makes a difference and avoids panic. Controlling adrenaline is also an incredibly important and tricky skill, one I talk about in my books, which you can find linked below, but escaping scraps and managing your response is immensely helpful in these type of situations. Number five then, legal and ethical context. We need to know when to engage and when to disengage and how much force is justified. Was the officer's final kick excessive? Yes. Was it understandable after being nearly killed? Also, yes. Finally, one strange question, but were the brothers lucky? I think absolutely. In many countries with armed police, violently attacking officers in an airport would have ended with them in body bags, not in the back of a police car. They are really lucky UK police mainly carry non-lethal options, although armed units would arrive shortly afterwards. So what do you think? Were the police justified? Was the kick too much or understandable in the context? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I try to read every single one. Okay, thanks for watching this quick breakdown. I appreciate it. If you want more martial arts insights, real-world self-defense advice, and videos like this, hit that like button and subscribe. Check out my books and courses in the links below, as always. Until next time, train smart, train hard, and stay safe out there.